So after the timer, the next thing you need is the main line tubing. This is solid tubing, and there are two brands of irrigation materials that I've used. One is made by Rainbird and the other is made by Dig, D-I-G. For many things I actually prefer Dig, but this is for the heavy duty tubing. I bought this time Rainbird because they were out of the Dig, but there's really not a lot of difference. This is 1/2-inch tubing. It's also available in 5/8. For most applications, I think 1/2 inch is good, but you may, if you're going to run more stations or more individual drippers or whatever off of it, you may want to go with the 5/8 version. This at Home Depot, this 100-foot roll of tubing, I believe it cost about $10 or so, and I think you can find this anywhere from about $9 to $11 or $12. So this connects then to the faucet, and it connects with a compression fitting. It's very important that you buy the right size compression fittings for the hose size that you're using. In this particular case, it's a 0.70 inch compression opening, and that is compatible with the mainline hose. And what this does, it just slides on the end. I'll show you later how that's done. It slides on the end of the tubing and just fits there by compression. And then the other end has a screen in it, and that's what attaches to the timer. It attaches to one of the stations on the timer. So then you lay out your mainline hose, and the other things that you're going to use are various types of fittings that allow you to set up the hose as you like. You may need T's. In the case of the Grow Garden, I'll need 3 of these T's because I'll be splicing into the line, having it running in different directions. The other thing you'll need is an end cap. This is very similar to the one that attaches to the hose, except in this particular case it's got a cap on the end that you screw in and blocks the flow at the end of the hose. The reason that it's important to have a fitting with an end cap is because at the end of the season you're going to want to blow out the lines with air, and in that case you take this end cap off while you're blowing it out so you can get the water out of the line so it doesn't freeze during the winter. So there are other accessories that you might need. I don't believe I'll need to use these at the Grow Garden, but there are elbows for right angle turns, and this is a coupler that allows you to attach 2 lengths of this hose together if you need to run an especially long line or something like that. So those are the pieces of equipment that you need. These types of fittings run anywhere from about $1 to $2 each, and then in addition to that, you need a couple of tools, and the 2 tools that you need is something to cut the tubing, and this is a simple cutter. You can also use a scissors, a heavy scissors, or something like that. This is not necessary, but it's very handy. It cuts it very cleanly. More importantly, what you need is something to punch holes in the main line. And this punch is exactly the right size to put a hole in the main line, and then you're going to use various types of drippers or connectors that go into those holes and allow you to attach either a solid line or a soaker hose. You notice the difference in these. This is a soaker hose. It's porous. It emits water all the way along it, and it's very handy for any crop that is in a row or something like that. And I'll be using this in the hoop house where we've got some basil planted in rows. This is solid line, and it is used to connect to the main line, and you do it either with a barbed connector like this, or a pressure compensating dripper. And I'll be showing you these in the field. This is a package of 10 of these things. The 100 foot of tubing, of the solid tubing, is about $7, and 50 feet of the soaker hose runs about $8, something like that. So you'll find prices vary a little from one organization or one store to the next. So the other thing that you need then are these either drippers. These drippers go into the main line, and then they insert in. I'll show you how that is. So here's what they look like individually. Take one out of this package. They insert into the main line with this barbed fitting, and on the end of that then goes the solid tubing like such, and you'll cut this to whatever length you need and lead it out to an individual plant or a tree, whatever. That's one type of way in which you regulate water from the main line to an individual plant. These particular drippers are 2 gallons per hour. You can also buy them as 1 gallon per hour or as 4 gallons per hour. Occasionally you'll also find some that have a half gallon per hour, and there are some that are even adjustable. You can set what amount of gallons per hour you need, anywhere from a half up to something like 10. I prefer the individual ones that are actually set at a particular rate. I'm going to show you how to use these in the greenhouse application. The other thing I'm going to show you is something called an inline dripper, and these are similar to the drippers pressure compensating drippers that I just showed you, except that you'll see that they have a small hole in them. Maybe you can't see it, but they do. And so the way that this works is that you run this hose from the main line, and you put this at a plant, and then this hose, you attach a hose to it, and it continues on. And you can line these up as you go from plant to plant, and the flow goes through that. And it's important that these be set up so that the hole is on the downflow side of the tubing. I'll show you how that's done as well. So these then, one of these would be at each plant, or maybe 2 in this particular case. In the grow application, I'm going to use 2 of these per plant because these are 1 gallon per hour, and I want it to sync with the other drippers that I told you that were 2 gallons per hour. So I'm going to use 2 of these per plant, and I'll show you how that goes later on. The other thing there are connectors. I don't know, they are just I'll be using these for the soaker hose. They're just a simple connector. They go into the main line on one end and the soaker hose on the other, or maybe a solid hose if you've got a different application, such as I'll be using these with the inline drippers as well. The other thing that you will need is something called an end plug for the quarter. These, incidentally, the soaker hose and the solid lines are 1/4 inch poly tubing. And then the other thing that you'll need are some end plugs, and these are just little plugs that fit into the end of the tubing, and I'll use those in both the, I'll be using these in the inline case. They're just a solid plug is all they are. They just go into the end of the dripper hose, and these particular plugs work both for a 1/2-inch line and for a 1/4-inch poly tubing. I'll be using it for the 1/4-inch tubing. So that's basically all the equipment that we'll be using up at the grow garden. These drippers and various types of connectors, they come in packages anywhere from 10 to 25 or so. This actually connector pack has 50 connectors in it. The plugs have 20. Most of the drippers have 10, and they run in the vicinity of, well, let me look for sure. The plugs run about the multi-packs of the barbs run anywhere from about $5 to some of them are at less than that. Some of them are in the $3 range. They're this whole outfit, that including the timer that I'm going to be putting in the grow garden, is a little less than $100 for all of this that I'll be using for the grow garden. Okay.